All right, guys, welcome back to the Putter Studio.
Yes, we're here.
Been a long time. Had to get directed over here.
Where is that thing?
Yeah, exactly. Last week, Cobra launched a brand new range of putters. The Bryson link up with the guys at Sick Putters. Yes. I suppose it was probably inevitable. Maybe with a little foresight, we could have seen this happening a while back, but it makes a ton of sense. I mean, I think the technology on the face being added to what Cobra typically do with their golf products is make them technologically advanced. No boundaries really to the design, which is really what we saw when we've had those 3D putters.
Yeah, the original prototype.
Back at late last year. Now we're seeing a full range developed on that premise of the 3D printing with the Sick face. So
they seem to have one for basically every type of person that, you've got the big putter that I think you'll associate with a Spider.
Yep.
You have sort of the half moon that people will probably remember, like an Odyssey, Rossi.
Yeah. Well, we're going to focus on the one that caught my eye. The first time we got together with the guys at Cobra and we looked through the putters, the little kind of fang shape, it's called the Supernova, was the one that caught my eye. I kind of rolled a few of the different mallets, and that was the one for me that had a kind of more of a unique feel, had a really stable feel to it when I was putting with it. And it has a bit more of a unique design. There is a standard Nova, and then there's obviously the Supernova, which is kind of a little bit more tech in there. And we're going to focus on the Supernova today. Yeah,
and I think I can see why this one caught your attention. Tons of people will like that fang style. I think it's mostly for the alignment aid.
Yeah.
Like the weight at the back here, it's not a ton of material there. I think Justin Thomas used it for ages too, I think the fang style. I think that's what people like about it, but I don't think the fangs were all that functional. Like they weren't doing much aside from having alignment lines. Yeah. This one to me has the 3D printing to, I guess, keep it somewhat light in the midsection. Yeah. But then you've got full weights at the back, which kind of makes it sort of like a Spider style, but maybe with less overall material, a little bit more minimal.
Yeah, I liked it. It's quite a nice, it's not an overly obnoxious shape.
No.
It's kind of small and fairly compact, but it's a three-piece head. We've got steel chassis, we've got a forged aluminum crown.
That's right.
And we've got tungsten weights kind of in the back of the putter to really increase the MOI. And as we've all seen in the past with square products, whether it was the old FTI drivers or whatever it was, or the Nike Sasquatch, when you pull those weights straight back in a straight line from the toe and the heel, that's the ultimate stabilizer.
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
So that's what's really going to offset the amount of toe and heel strikes to stop twisting the head, and that's really what that does. So I hit a variety of strikes that first day with this one, toe and heel on purpose, and I really didn't see any noticeable changes, but we weren't using Quintic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because there's so many parameters on there. What does a center face strike look like for roll? But what's going to happen when we start moving the strike, not just heel to toe, but also with this face up and down, because that's the part you say. If you lean the shaft and you hit the high part of the face, it can be an issue, but this has actually got different lofts in different part of the face, so this might be one of the most forgiving putters out there. We're going to find out.
We will find out. 4 degrees of loft change on the face. Basically, the face is broken into 4 sections. The upper quarter has 4 degrees of loft, the second quarter has 3, the third quarter down has 2 degrees of loft, and the bottom has 1 degree of loft-matic.
It's really cool.
And that's designed to cater for people who, if you lean the shaft forward, typically you'll hit the top of the putter.
Yes.
They're the people who need additional launch.
Yep.
If you have the handle leaning back slightly, normally that moves the strike down the head.
Right.
And that's where the kind of 1 or 2 degrees of loft on the putter will be more accessible.
So you don't kind of get that kind of up and back spinning.
Correct.
It'll knuckle it a little bit and roll it forward.
Exactly. It's always making that compensation. So really, whether you are ascending, neutral, or descending, the face really should compensate for whatever you do.
That's really cool.
Yeah, really unique. And we used to talk about it a lot with the radial face putters from Bobby Grace.
Yes.
This is a slightly different version of that, but it's an equally as effective version.
Love it. Shall we?
Let's roll a few. Yeah, that's a lovely roll.
Came off nice.
What we would like to see from most people when we see their delivery, and it kind of makes our job pretty easy, and we can stick with pretty neutral spec on putters. We like to see that shaft lean forward slightly just to reduce a little bit of the loft, and we like to see the angle of attack upward to create a little bit of lift and roll.
Gotcha.
That's exactly what we saw there. So So through the equator of the golf ball, we can try and pair that up with the middle line and the putter. We can see we've just caught that just in that kind of second tier.
Interesting.
On the way down. So we're hitting it, so basically 3 degrees aloft, or maybe, around 3. That makes a lot of sense. We leaned the shaft forward 2.57. We created friction, which gave it some lift, and you're hitting it with 3 degrees aloft. Perfect.
Pretty ideal. And that's what happened, right? Kind of in a middle strike. The face wasn't twisting, and now we can sort of see what occurs when we start moving that around.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right.
I definitely struck it in the heel. It didn't feel like the head moved a ton, though.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking for 2 things. We're going to be looking at club twist and cut spin. Obviously, a little bit of twist in that head. So club twist from a closure perspective. So obviously a heel strike is going to close the head. It's going to deflect it closed. But we really didn't see any cut spin. We actually saw a slight bit of hook spin.
That's amazing. I mean, I literally addressed it on the inside, way inside the center alignment.
Yeah, so we had a 0.23 open face with a 0.22 closing strike.
So they offset each other?
They offset each other, and that's
crazy.
why that one went in, obviously dead center. So a slight difference in the delivery, and we ended up launching it a little bit higher. If we again look at the equator of the ball, we hit that in the top tier.
Okay.
We hit it in the 4 degree window with less shaft lean. That's why the launch angle popped up.
Gotcha.
As somebody who likes to control the variables as much as I like to, this is great for me because I can explain everything about what's going on here.
Yeah, good point.
We've got 4 tiers of loft. We've got a forward shaft lean. We've got an amount of friction. We've got an amount of twist that we can control. Everything is explainable and everything is controllable with the technology. Visually, that looked much better.
Yeah.
Looked like you caught it.
It felt lower in the club that time. So I'm curious what that does to the launch when we have less loft on it. Maybe the second section there, something
So
like that?
you're just in the top area of the second. I mean, you were pretty darn close to the middle of the putter.
Right.
You didn't have as much forward shaft lean. So you had upward angle attack, you had less loft, and you had the shaft basically neutral.
Interesting, but the lower loft and the lower part of the head helps offset that, I guess.
Yeah. The face was twisted 0.6 open, but you had 36 RPMs of gearing back in.
Interesting. So it came back.
It came back for you, so you were still able to make it. Okay, let's hit a couple more. Let's go back to, so we've checked kind of heel strike, we've checked toe strike. Let's go back and check the vertical control.
We'll try to get this one low in the face then.
Yeah, try and catch one a little thin.
Okay. Felt lower in the face? Yeah, good.
Really good example.
This is interesting. So normally if someone does that, they're going to kind of pop the ball up and backspin it. That's what you would see with a traditional face.
And actually depending on, I've seen with a lot of players when they do this, if they lean the shaft forward enough, they actually drive the ball into the ground.
Oh,
so they actually create the pop and they lose a lot of velocity from compressing the ball into the ground. But there was a good example because you had backward shaft lean, upward angle of attack, everything telling us that ball should be popping up in the air, but you've hit it at the 1 degree loft point, so your launch has only been 1.9.
That's one of the better launch conditions of a putts we've had, and the forward roll is still very positive. Yeah, that's crazy.
Pretty cool. So it just shows the effectiveness of those 4 loft points.
That's really
within the head.
Definitely felt that on the top part of the face that time. Be curious if that popped it up in the air a bit.
So the shaft was leaning forward 1.8. We did hit slightly down on it, but we can definitely see, that's actually the middle of the golf ball's on the top groove of
the highest loft
of the putter, the top edge of the putter. So it's actually popped up 2.57.
Interesting.
If we run this through, we'll actually see some lift in the golf ball here.
And normally that would just go straight into the ground because there'd be no loft up there.
So you can really see putters leaning forward. There's a nice amount of lift.
That's really cool.
So for those players who really struggle, it's a distance control thing at that point.
Okay.
When you have that putter leaning forward and driving down on it,
yes,
you really struggle to create enough velocity to get the ball to go the full distance.
So for someone that might be looking at the numbers and just kind of getting glazed over with, I don't know what all this means, the reality is if you kind of mix your strikes around, you're not the most consistent putter, your distance control, it seems like it's going to be hugely helped by something that kind of makes the ball roll similar, even if you mix it all around the face.
It's one of the reasons I just think Quintic is so superior in its space, is the ability to isolate every one of these variables that we're talking about and actually physically watch it.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about here. You know, obviously we've got a full variety of putters from many different companies, but I mean, just the conversation within one company is so extensive here. Absolutely. From the face technology to, you know, to whether you're using a grip this size. Obviously, Arcos comes in at a standard, which is great for your stats.
This is cool, this little KBS putter
in
shaft.
there. So, I mean, it's kind of Cobra acknowledging that, you know, we're going to partner up with the best in class. Arcos, you know, if that's KBS, SICK on the face technology, they're doing their own unique thing with 3D printing. I mean, hat off to them. They've not really left any stone unturned here. And sometimes I think people maybe go, well, it's maybe a bit of a gimmick. They will be a flash in the pan.
Fair enough. And honestly, when the prototype came with 3D printing, I kind of liked the feel of it, but I left the test going, okay, but what's the full product line going to look like? I honestly think I was pleasantly surprised. It looks like they've done actually like a really good job.
Nice job.
I would look at these. If you're going to go look at a Spider, I think you'd kind of be shortchanging yourself if you don't at least test these. I'd be surprised if you didn't get something out of that face technology.
I'm going to go try that Supernova. I'm going to take that for a little run in the course and go and try it, because I've been thinking about some mallets, some face balance mallets, getting away from using putters with toe hang. So
this is a fully face balance.
Yeah,
fully with it pointing up at the sky.
Yeah, and they also have a mallet head with a little short slant neck that has about 25 degrees of toe hang as well.
Interesting.
So they offer mallets with that as well.
So in terms of fitting, would you say this is one of the more complete product lines you've seen in terms of the different necks, the different heads, the different faces?
There's arm lock in there for people who want to try arm lock, and there's so many different models to test.
I think we need to test arm lock on the Quintic. I feel like the comments are going to be full of that. And I'm kind of curious, especially what you told me. You did a little testing with it and you kind of liked it.
I kind of like it.
I'm curious.
Yeah. I'm trying to minimize that face rotation. So I feel like attaching the putter to the lead arm, the lead lever, is going to stop the head rotating over. So not sure if I'm fully on board with the kind of legality of it.
Fair enough.
Again, while it is legal, and
it's currently legal, isn't it?
We'll give it a try.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, stay tuned for more putter testing coming soon, and we will be back again, hopefully with that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.